Thanks a lot for taking out time and joining in today with us.
Okay.
So let me start by asking you about your journey. What made you choose branding as a subject just after your engineering?
So actually, it is something that engineering is something that you just choose because it's one of the basic choices that you have, and at that point there wasn't much in terms of choosing anything else. I had no idea, honestly, and so it was a very collective decision with the family that okay, this seems like a good engineering degree, this seems like a good college, and let's pursue this. But I realized soon in my second year itself that polymer engineering, sitting in a lab mixing chemicals, is not my cup of tea. And I was always very inclined towards the extracurriculars. One thing in particular that used to bother me is our college, UDCT, ICT now, despite being a 80, 85-year-old institution, very reputed, had very little street cred. Getting out at Matunga station in Bombay, if you told the taxi wala to take you to UDCT, they wouldn't know an institute that's been there for 80 years and some other college which has just been around for 15 odd years was better known. So you're like, okay, how can we change this? And that's the first time, kind of, I think, in terms of taking a cultural event that the college does, in a just intra-collegiate way, taking it to an intercollegiate level was the first branding activity that we did for the college. Increased. That was also the first fundraising experience. Took the budget kind of 10x from what it used to be the previous years. And we had a vision, like the college fest that we organized should be one of the top three in the city. After Mood Indigo and Malhar, kind of Manzar should be that thing. So, and that's the process that I really enjoyed. And so after that, I just happened to find this program in creative brand management to a friend, kind of the course material and everything, and it just appealed to me. And so I said, okay, this is a great, opportunity to pursue.
So did College Fest kind of spur that interest of branding in you that you thought of pursuing branding as a long-term career?
Absolutely. Not just branding, even experiences. What I'm doing currently kind of started in college through the college events.
Yes.
So while it was about organizing an event, ultimately it was creating an experience for people for the college. So and that's the thing I enjoyed a lot.
Correct. And did you ever think on your way that you would become an entrepreneur someday?
To be honest, yes, because I come from a family of entrepreneurs. They've all always had their own businesses. So growing up, I just that way, and sort of what you grow up seeing, you kind of want to become. So I knew that I will someday come back and pursue building a business from scratch. But I wasn't very fixed on okay, I have to do it immediately. So I took my time to got the experience in the US, and then when the right opportunities came by, I moved back.
All right. And what's you since you said like your family is into entrepreneurship, so I'm assuming that you got your motivation from there. But apart from your family, who are the other motivating forces behind you becoming an entrepreneur?
Well, a lot of them. Too many to count, to be honest. All the great successful entrepreneurs that you hear about, and there are many in my circle, in family, friends of my parents, who have done really interesting things in terms of solving a problem and being really passionate about that problem. And so that's something that always appealed to me. That being so passionate about something that you want to spend all your time doing that is something that appealed to me. So lot of influences though.
Okay. And you've also worked as a brand consultant to automobile companies. So why don't you tell us about your experience into that?
Yeah, so in my final year of my master's degree, in my final semester rather, I had the privilege of doing an independent study with Audi of America, and as part of that, I even got an internship with them after my degree, and then it turned into a full-time opportunity to work at the Audi headquarters with an amazing team, and that I think really the 2-year master's degree clubbed with an organization like Audi of America really solidified certain principles in terms of what it means to build a brand, build a culture, be consistent about what you stand for. And I think that was an amazing launch pad in a way for everything that followed.
So
Plus,
did
we got to
you
drive.
choose?
Plus,
Yeah.
we got to drive cars very often. So that was an additional perk.
Okay, so did you choose Audi as a place to work at, or did Audi choose you from your
Uh,
college?
to be very honest, in terms of the independent study, there was a senior of ours who was working at Audi, and I'd never worked with him before. We've never been in college at the same time. But he basically came to our professor, our head of the department, and said, "Okay, give me your two best students for an independent study." And it was me and another girl. But the girl wanted to go work at the American Red Cross. She wanted to do something on the non-profit front. So in a way, I got the whole thing handed on a platter, which I'm fortunate about. But then, of course, after that, choosing to do an internship there, choosing to work there for the next 3 years was of course on me.
And then directly shifting from automobiles to FMCG, how was that change and how did that come into your life?
So, having worked with brands like Audi of America, Jaguar Land Rover, um, uh, in the social media and digital space, I was always intrigued to build a brand of my own from scratch using, a digital channel primarily. And so I was on the lookout for opportunities, and Shantanu, who's the CEO of Bombay Shaving Company, my co-founder, he and I had met at the end of 2014. He was in New York for his honeymoon, and that's when we just caught up on a lot of things in life and what we want to do in the future. Bombay Shaving Company was not really on our minds at that time. And then 7 months later, he gave me a call in July and said, "Okay, I'm quitting my organization, and I'm keen to start a men's grooming company, and I want you to come and build the brand." And that just seemed like a really good opportunity. So, of course, evaluated it for a month or two, went back and forth in terms of understanding how it would all work. But wrapping up everything in Manhattan and moving to India was not an easy decision, but I thought the opportunity was great. We were trying to do something very interesting and new in a space which was dominated by very big giants. And more importantly, I think we were trying to make shaving an experience, grooming an experience that men can indulge in. And I think that just appealed to me. And so I thought it was a great opportunity to come back, build a brand.
So were you offered a position of being a co-founder from the start, or was it something on the branding front that you were offered and you rejected that and took some other kind of an opportunity from Shantanu?
No, I mean the opportunity was to start the company with him.
Okay.
In fact, we were four of us. Rohit, who was going to head product development, and Deepu, who was going to head operations and engineering. So we were four of us. Each of us kind of had our own strengths, and so all of us were co-founders.
And how did you build up your team? Tell me about your experience of building a Bombay Shaving Company as a brand.
Yes, so there were obviously a lot of big giants in this space that dominated the market, and we really had to figure out we want to build a men's grooming company, but what's the best way to enter the market? There were already 20 deodorant brands, tons of not tons of, but like dozens of hair care brands, and other kind of grooming brands. So we would have not really been able to make a dent there. But shaving was one category where there was only one big player, Gillette, and no one else, pretty much. Otherwise, you went to a salon. And then what we realized in terms of a consumer insight was that men really didn't enjoy their shaves. Like that was the one constant. They had different reasons for not enjoying it, but the one constant was that they didn't enjoy it. And so we
Let
said,
me
okay,
just interrupt you here and ask you about this consumer study that you did. How was it? How did you conduct it? And which year was it in?
this was in 2015, mid 2015. It
Okay.
was a study done with a lot of friends and family, and we just knew many people in our circle. So we just got
Okay.
about 50 to 100, men in, the millennial to older millennial age bracket.
Hmm.
And we asked them a bunch of questions around their shaving habits. And the most common is, okay, people get nicks, people get cuts, people, some people are not able to shave it smooth, shave using a three-blade razor smoothly. But what was most consistent is people don't look forward to it. They don't, they don't want to shave. They have to shave because, your spouse or your partner doesn't like it, or your job requires it. And so we're like, how can we change this? In that system, the shaving cream, the shaving scrub, the shaving brush, the safety razor, which was a single blade razor, which is kind of your, grandfather's razor, but we made it very modern and sleek looking. And then the post shave balm, and then a whole regimen was created around it. So of course, it was a challenge to sell a 3,000 rupee shaving kit, but I think we made it look really nice. Became a great gifting opportunity as well. We added some bells and whistles like, engraving on the razor, so it became a personalized piece for anyone to own. And all these tactics really helped us with that initial organic push. We saw a lot of unboxing videos because people had not seen a shaving kit that was so well designed and put together, and so people started talking about it, and that got more people interested in it, and that just kind of started off that journey. And then from there, we of course expanded into bath care, skin care, beard care, and today there's more than 100 SKUs. We started seeing women using a lot of our products as well. So now we've started creating certain products specifically for women as well. And so,
Okay.
I think once that initial traction was there, and the brand was kind of, the identity was anchored as a premium, thoughtful grooming brand,
Hmm.
where we design everything with a lot of care. Then it was just a matter of introducing the right products at the right time, utilizing online platforms like Amazon and Flipkart, and of course our own website, working with the right influencers, and yeah, building it out.
Okay. So did you give this manufacturing to some other, company using contract manufacturing, or did you do it in-house only while you started doing
So,
it?
so it was, of course, the manufacturing was contract manufactured, and that's how most players do it,
Yeah.
in this space. But the briefs came from us. Every aspect of what goes into it was discussed. Rohit and the product team kind of led that whole process. In fact, all of us were involved. And we didn't just work with one manufacturer. So we had multiple manufacturers that we were working with, and trying to find who's creating the best product as per the brief that we need.
So, apart from manufacturing, how did you actually sell it via influencers? Did you see an actual growth in your revenues after influencer marketing? Because there's a lot of buzz in the market today with respect to influencer marketing that it doesn't actually result in any kind of a good outcome. So, how was it for y'all?
I think with any sort of marketing campaign where you cannot directly measure the output, it's always going to be difficult. If someone talks about, hey, I just bought this cool shaving kit. Um, how are you really going to track that? Okay, somebody saw that and came and bought. Yes, you may see a little bit of bump, but you can't really attribute that to just that one thing. So it's a lot of things that have to work together in unison, and some things are done just for brand building, and other things are done directly to drive sales. We have done influencer campaigns where we've given the influencers specific codes, like use this code and get a special discount, and that's helped us really identify, okay, this is the audience that came and bought by looking at this, and that gave us some sense of, okay, there's some sale happening through this. Of course, not always equivalent to the amount invested, but it was a good enough thing to do in terms of building the brand. There's just a lot of things that can make a difference when it comes to brand building. The smallest of acts will might trigger someone's interest in buying into the brand. We've had
Yes.
many, we've had some interesting Twitter feuds with certain people where they were like a men's grooming brand is targeting a woman. And, we've been able to just interact with them and turn it around, and they've come back and bought from us. So, as long as you showcase what your true values are,
Hmm.
uh, and do the same with influencers, it all adds to kind of building that brand, and ultimately it helps drive revenue as well.
Right. And talking about the initial capital, since you all hailed from a business background, I mean from a job market, I'm supposing that y'all had bootstrapped the business, is it?
So no, so it's an angel funded business when we started.
Okay.
Shantanu had driven that entire effort. And we had about 20, 24 angels when we started, and we had a decent capital, which is necessary because when you have to manufacture a product,
Yeah.
and not just one product, we had a 6-part shaving system. So there were at least 10 items in there that needed to be made by different manufacturers and vendors, and each had their own MOQs in terms of quantities and all of that. So there was a certain amount of capital that needed to be invested in R&D, in the initial orders, and setting up a warehouses, and of course setting up the team as well. So we had that backing in the beginning, and not just monetary backing, but a lot of strategic advice and guidance from our angels, which really helped us in kind of taking flight.
So why don't you talk to us about one meeting with any of the investor that you had that went on for long or maybe was quite interesting for you? So you can maybe just give out an experience of yours that you had.
Oh, okay, that's a tough one. You know, I think the most memorable ones have been the ones where we are uh, completely kind of shaken up in terms of, we are always happy that okay, we're doing something new, we're doing something good, itna sale aa raha hai, itne log baat kar rahe hain, all of that. But when you get into the meeting with the investors, that's where the real questions come, and they start. Uh, so there have been meetings where we've all kind of come out of it really, really, unhappy that okay, we were thinking things are going decent, and but here you go, people are the investors are showing you a completely different picture of kind of, they show you the mirror, right, in the best possible way. But at the same time, it's good as well, because that check is good, and it always helped us reevaluate what we needed to do, what kind of resources we needed to build up. And yeah, so I think some of those meetings where we were really kind of put in our place were actually the most memorable ones, because the biggest learnings came from there.
Right. And I'm actually very curious to know that how did you get so many investors at the initial stage itself? You said there were around 24 investors that y'all had on board. So how big of a challenge was that, or was it a cakewalk for y'all?
So I think Shantanu would be better to answer a question like that, because that was driven by him completely. I'm sure it wasn't a cakewalk. There's a lot of conversations, negotiations. Everyone has their input into what they think about how we're valuing the company, how we're building the company. So attaining a certain level of consensus across the board was not easy. But yeah, but it was done.
That's great. And coming to your own new venture now, Trove Experiences, if I'm
It's trove,
pronouncing
yeah,
it.
like a treasure trove.
Okay, okay. So I wanted to know that how did you have this venture in mind, and why did you like separate from Bombay Shaving Company and start building up your something of your own?
Yeah. So, like I said, the best kick that I'd gotten was when I did that college event in my undergrad, and that not only made me realize my interest in brand building, but also in kind of experience building. And it's just something I was really passionate about. Both in my personal life as well as with friends, with family. And so I knew that this is an interesting space, the experiential entertainment and travel market. And being passionate about it, I really wanted to create something in this space. So it had been in my mind for 7-8 years, way before Bombay Shaving Company actually. But I'd never been able to crystallize it exactly in terms of how to take it forward. Is the market ready for it? But now, more and more you hear that it's all about moments and not things. You need to collect all these memories in life. And I felt like there's a great opportunity over in India, here in India, to build out some of these experience formats. I've lived 7 years in the US, and there were always so many interesting activities to do on the weekends. You go apple picking, or go to the wine country, or interesting museums, etc., etc. And after I came back to India, there wasn't as much to do on the weekends over here. And I would still see stories of all my friends over there doing all sorts of interesting activities. So said, let's create a platform that creates and curates all sorts of interesting weekend activities for people, like how to make your own perfume, like a 3-hour master class on that, or mixology, or farm to table, or equestrian adventures, some art experiences. So there are a lot of interesting formats that we're exploring. We're tying up with the right artists and experts on each of these, and trying to present that to the people. So we're still in our early stage. We're just 4 people right now in the team. We've done about 30 or 32 experiences till date. Working on the website and working on, now that we're in a much better place in terms of the traction that we're getting, and the feedback that we've gotten on some of our experiences. So from here on, we look to build it out in a much bigger way.
Right. You said that you are ready to present this to the larger mass. What about presenting it to investors? Do you think of bringing on any investor on board as of now?
As of now, that is not the plan. But as and when there will be a need to scale to a certain degree, we will of course evaluate options. This is not as much of a capital intensive business as building a product was, and so we are able to get by on a bootstrap budget right now. But as soon as we feel the need that okay, this really now needs to scale in a exponential manner, that's where we may need support, and that's where we look at opportunities.
Okay, let me be an investor for now and ask you, like, what's your long-term vision for this company, and how do you see the revenues coming in the next 5 years?
So uh, I hope that I get to work on this for the rest of my life, to be honest, because it's something I'm really passionate about. We'd love to ultimately have India's premier experiential travel and entertainment brand as part of Trove. There should be a trust in consumers that if Trove is recommending that you do this activity, even if you've never heard of it, you would want to invest in it, because you know that it is well thought through. It's a great experience, and you're going to, for those 2 hours, 3 hours, or a day that you're going to be with us, you're going to forget about your worldly worries and just be in the moment and enjoy. And that's something that we want to do across the country, and build a platform that does that. In addition to that, we'd love to also consult on experiences. So even today, we have a consulting arm called Trove Studio, where we are working with certain brands on building out experiences for them. And tomorrow we'd love to work with tourism boards on kind of how to build out the experience ecosystem so that more and more people have access to really interesting experiences around the country. So everything that we do is going to be focused on kind of great experiences, which are delivered through great storytelling. And we'll try to build that out in as many ways as possible, whether it's local experiences, weekend experiences, virtual experiences, consulting, tourism boards, brands, individuals, organizations, what have you.
Right. So, do you sense any kind of competition into this kind of a market? Do you consider Book My Show as one of your competitors?
Book My Show, of course, yeah. Book My Show, Paytm Insider, all of this is competition. But anywhere, like, see, when a weekend comes, you want to plan something. Now, I want you to consider Trove over anything else. So anything else that you're considering in a way is competition. But we did the same when we started the grooming men's grooming company as well. There were a few other brands who were doing something similar in the space, and when you have to create a category, you need all your competition in a way is complementary, because it's building the market for you along with you. And so it's good that Paytm Insider and Book My Show, although they're primarily ticketing platforms, are also spreading awareness about experiences and getting people used to doing interesting activities. And the good thing is, once an activity is done, you would want to do another activity the following weekend. So as long as people get into that habit of doing interesting things on weekends, I'm happy, whether they're doing it through a Book My Show or a Paytm or any other platform. Because hopefully someday they'll give Trove a chance as well, and we'll be able to convince them that, okay, you want to do more activities with us.
So currently you said that y'all are a team of 4, but you have other people working with you who help other people get that experience. So how big of an ecosystem have you created so far?
So currently we have about 20 experiences that we offer across 3 cities and virtually. As part of that, of course, we're working with 20 experts or artists in each of those respective fields. I'm sorry. So of course, those people are not part of our payroll as such, or team as such. They are collaborators. But that's kind of that extended ecosystem, and then 4 people who are working full time on this venture.
Okay. And what do you do on your weekends?
Honestly, I'm always thinking about experiences. So either I'm trying out a new experience, which might inspire something interesting, or I'm thinking about how we can, sell these experiences to people. So, what I would hope eventually is, I put this, we put this on our welcome cards also, that we send out to each person during an experience. I would love to be a chief experience officer eventually, and my job would just be to create new experiences, identify new experiences, discover new experiences, and kind of figure out how it fits into the ecosystem. So today, of course, a lot of time is spent on generating demand, building out a team, and all of those things as well. But hopefully, we'll get to a point where all I'm doing is interesting activities.
Right. And I believe that consumer feedback will be a major source of, you gathering kind of experiences that they want. Apart from consumers, do you have any other mentors or advisors on board?
We don't have any. We don't have an official board of advisors currently, but there are 5 or 6 individuals with whom I have been in touch on an ongoing basis, discussing how we're growing things, how we're building things, and they give invaluable feedback. And of course, consumer feedback also helps. You have to also look at trends. There's a new experience that we're doing in the coming week, which is going to be a kitchen gardening experience. Learning how to get started on your own vegetable patch. And I think the lockdown has really made people better home chefs, and more interested and in general, I think this whole wave around knowing the source of your food, where it comes from, is it non-GMO, is it organic? People want to grow their own food. There's an initial interest, at least in some people, to grow their own food and grow their own veggies. And so we want to kind of leverage that trend and create an experience around it that is really interesting, that also helps people get started on that journey.
Right. And from where do you derive your learnings of entrepreneurship and different other things, like which movies or books do you read? So tell us about it.
I read a lot of self-improvement, personal development books, biographies, autobiographies. I read on a daily basis. I spend at least half an hour to 45 minutes reading 1 chapter, 2 chapters, how much ever I can cover. So that's something that I've inculcated over the last 2 years, and I follow on 95% of the days. So that really gives me a very good, and I do that first thing in the morning. So it's like a pep talk first thing in the morning. And from there, of course, you're always, when I'm having breakfast, I'll try to watch some video of, the top 10 tips given by an Elon Musk or a Steve Jobs or a Phil Knight or whoever. So that that I think gives me inspiration in terms of how people have built businesses. And then of course you hear so many interesting stories of other entrepreneurs, current new age entrepreneurs who are building businesses. So whenever I get a chance, I do read up on that, communicate with them, or try to reach out to them and understand, meet them for a coffee. So that also helps. I think it's important to just constantly be connected to people
Yeah.
and learn from what their journeys. I mean, which is what you're also trying to do here.
Yeah, correct.
But yeah, you're doing it in a much more formal forum, but I think just talking to people helps immensely. And so that's something I would recommend anyone who's wanting to get on this journey.
Yes, absolutely. That any time helps. And networking is the most essential part of an entrepreneur. You never know who would come as a good help to you. So, lastly, what piece of advice would you give to young entrepreneurs or maybe even old entrepreneurs who are just wanting to start something of their own?
I would say find a problem that you're passionate about solving, and to make sure that it's it's a problem that is broad enough, and be ready to pivot a little. Whatever you decide upfront will likely not work, and it's a journey where you have to just keep at it and figure out what will work, and make it work. So being a little flexible on that front, and having a problem that you're passionate about solving is going to be important. And then of course always look for the right co-founders, the right team members. I think that is very, very essential when it comes to building a business beyond yourself. You won't be able to do everything,
Yeah,
and it won't grow beyond a certain level if it's just you doing everything. So
indeed. Yeah.
yeah, so start finding the right people you want to build in the team, or even like guide you in terms of mentors. But make sure that you're flexible in terms of vision.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that piece of advice and love chatting with you, even
Same here.
if it was just for a brief period of time. And look forward to having you again soon once you build up your team huge and we see many more experiences curated and created by you. So
Thank
thanks a
you,
lot for
Radhika.
joining in.
Yep. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day ahead.